Hi, my name is Kaya Yanishevska from CATF, Corona Awareness Teen Task Force, and today we'll be learning about two really cool concepts, measurement and data. These two will be really important in your future years in math, so sit back and listen up. To start off, measurement is the act of measuring a thing. We can measure time, height, temperature, weight, length, speed, and so much more. But for the purpose of this video, we'll be sticking to length. So what is length? Well, when we measure something from one end to the other, the distance in between this is what we call length. Take this ruler, for example. If we put the ruler next to the book, we can read the numbers on the side to figure out how long the book's spine is. Now, look a bit more closely at the ruler. Notice how the numbers on the bottom are way farther apart than on the top? That's because there are two different units of measurement. The numbers on the bottom are in inches, which is what we use in America. And the numbers on the top are in centimeters, which they use in other countries. To measure the book, we're going to use the inches on the bottom. We place the ruler next to the book, making sure that the 0 at the bottom is at the same level as the book. Now that our ruler is in place, try to read the numbers to find out how many inches long the book is. Right, the book is 8.7 inches long, almost 9 inches. So we can say that the length of the book is about 8.75 inches. Now, what would happen if we needed to measure something bigger, like a bus? It would be pretty tricky to measure it with a ruler, don't you think? Well, we're in luck, because the same system that we use in the US also has larger units. So to measure the bus, we can use something called feet. Have you ever heard of that measurement before? It's probably what your doctor uses to measure you. We can also use counting to determine how much money we have, which is the second thing we'll be talking about today. When you went to a store, you've probably seen someone use coins and bills to pay for something. We have pennies, which are worth 1 cent, nickels, which are worth 5 cents, dimes, which are worth 10 cents, and quarters, which are worth 25 cents. Now, if the number of coins you have adds up to 100 cents, then you have $1. For example, if I have 4 quarters, that would equal $1. Now it's your turn. If I have 1 dime, or 10 cents, 2 nickels, which are each worth 5 cents, and 1 penny, which is 1 cent, how much money would I have? That's right, I would have 21 cents. Great, now that you've learned about the different ways that we can measure things, now we're going to learn about a way that we can show that information, called graphs. When we have a few measurements that we want to display in one place, we use a bar graph that shows which had the most or what was the longest, for example. Here's a problem that shows this. A group of kids did a survey, which is what we call the collected information, about their classmates' favorite animals. Based on the graph, which animal do you think got the most votes? The dolphin, the frog, or the cat? Well, since this column, or bar, is the highest, the dolphin got the most votes. This graph is what we call a bar graph. On the bottom, or the x-axis, we put the names of the subjects. On the y-axis, we put the number of votes. When the students found out how many classmates voted for the dolphin, they drew the bar so that it met up with the number on the y-axis. So now that we know how a bar graph works, let's make one. If you want to follow along, stop the video here and grab a piece of paper, a pen, and a ruler so you can try yourself. Let's say that Sarah wanted to do a survey about her friends' favorite colors. She would make a table, perhaps give a couple of decisions, but in this case, we're just going to make some up. So she would put her friends and then their responses. Here is a table listing all of the options. So she surveyed 3 friends, and in this she found 2 votes for blue and 1 vote from yellow. So how are we going to display this in a graph? Well, for starters, we're going to grab our ruler and we're going to draw a nice straight line right here at the x-axis, and then another one for the y-axis. After we're done that, we're going to label this as X and Y. This is where our numbers are going to go, and this is where the names are going to go. So for our first color, which was yellow, there was 1 vote, and then for blue, there were 2. So how do you think we're going to put that on the y-axis? Well, since these are pretty easy numbers, what we can do is just label this, making sure that the intervals are equal, making sure we put a 0, then a 1, and then in about an equal distance, a 2. And that is how we would set up our graph. Say we use blue as blue, obviously, and red as yellow. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a bar that lines up with these numbers. So for yellow, or red in this case, there was 1 vote. So first what we would do is we would draw a line pretty equal to that point. Then draw 2 other lines, creating a bar, making sure once again that it matches up with that number. We can fill it in or not, depending on how your school likes you to do that. And then for the same thing for the other side. So find the 2, line it up, draw a line, put 2, or you can use a ruler sometimes if that better suits the graph. And there we go. So just to recap, in this video, we learned how to measure the length, applied that to money, and also how to display our information in basic graphs. After this video, try to find 3 things in your house that you can measure. Thank you for watching.